All right, let's get our Facebook friends and family up in here. Boom, boom. Welcome in, welcome in. It is Tuesday, 8:30, the last day, or no, not the last day of August. We have one more day of August. I can never remember which one's 30 and 31. August and July both have 31 days. It's the knuckle trick, right? But welcome in. It is Tuesday morning, and that means it's time for an episode of Broncos for Breakfast. I am Nick Kendell, and joined by, as always, in for these morning shows, my good friend and co-host Scott Kennedy. Scott, how you doing?
I'm doing well. It's a big day. It's an exciting day. It's also kind of a bittersweet day. When you see that, some of the guys that we grow to love, the players that are wearing our colors, and see them get cut. We know it's a tough day for them. Hopefully, most of them will get another chance. It's kind of like, I want to see him on the practice squad, but I'm going to be happy for him if he gets picked up and has a chance on a 53 too. So it's
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those days, but it does mean we're one more day closer to kickoff. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Closer to kickoff, and hopefully closer to a winning season. Speaking of winning season has officially returned, and with the NFL season on the horizon, there are plenty of opportunities to win at MyBookie. Whether you're a seasoned bettor or the first time bettor, MyBookie gets you the most for your money with a double deposit bonus up to $1,000. It's simple. Follow the link in this show description and sign up using my promo code Wilson2022 on your first deposit, and you'll instantly double your money with MyBookie. It's simple. A $250 deposit puts $500 in your account, and you can use your funds to bet on as many individual games, contests, and props as you want. Bet on the team win totals, predict the Super Bowl winner, or use MyBookie Prop Builder to give yourself an edge you need to secure the bag. Again, use the code Wilson2022 when you sign up and get double your deposit. Follow the link in the notes, and click to join. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
Yep, and I'll make sure that gets pinned in there. It's not in the description yet. It
Nope.
will be shortly after the show. So make sure you're hitting my bookie.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of hidden things, let's hit the chat. Kevin Gray coming in saying T minus 13 days and counting by Broncos country, or high Broncos country. Nick and Scott, let's ride. Absolutely good to see you, Kevin Gray. Good morning to you. Jeremy Sean coming in saying good morning, fellas. Happy cut down day. Let's go get Brett Kern. Yeah, Scott, before the show, you asked me about Brett Kern. You're like, oh, what the heck? We talking punters?
Well, I saw him.
Punters?
I was reading through. I was like, "Who's Brett Kern?" I'm like, "Let's go get Brett Kern." I was like, "Who?" So
Yeah, I
and then we
saw.
and then that gave us a chance to slander Josh McDaniels and his decision making again. So
Yeah.
it turned out well. It turned out well.
Productive, no doubt. And a fun tidbit about Brett Kern: he has punted for every coach the Tennessee Titans have ever had. So good for him. Moving forward now, we got Rob Bucksbum coming saying, "Good morning, gents. Less than 2 weeks. Let's ride. Hashtag Broncos for breakfast." Absolutely, man. I cannot wait. Can almost taste it. Michaela Israel coming in. Hello to our Mile High Huddle ladies, of course, saying good morning. I'm anxious to see the final cuts and if we pick up some players off waivers. It'll be an exciting couple of days. Yeah, a lot of movement, a lot of exciting things. Any players that have been released so far that have caught your eye, Scott?
Nothing too much, nothing too crazy yet. It goes back to our discussion about the running backs.
Hmm.
There's been some decent named running backs that have gotten cut. When we talk about, it's like I feel like I've been on the beating this dead horse about Mike Boone. Mike Boone is a good running back. Oh, you could do a lot worse with him at number 3. That's not the point. The point is I did up all the math and I went through all the rosters. And there were 6 teams that had a second running back that was making more than Mike Boone. Just 6. So it's like you could do a lot worse than Mike Boone. Well, yeah, you could probably do better considering that 26 teams have a number 2 running back that is making less than Mike Boone, and about 6 of them don't have a player making as much as him anyway. So lots of running backs out there was my point. Sorry to turn this into more Mike Boone slander. I like Mike Boone. Don't get me wrong. It's just the contract just seems weird to me. That's all.
Yeah. No, timeline wise, they brought him in to be the number 2, and then probably not thinking Javonte Williams would be there. He ends up being there.
And again, he'd be a top 10 number 2, highest
Yeah.
paid. I mean, he'd be a well-paid number 2, not just, oh, you could do worse than number 3. Well, hell yeah, you could. Number 3s are minimums.
Yeah, and he looked really good in preseason.
He looked really
so
good.
maybe somebody would give a 7th round pick or something. I know there's a lot of running backs out there, but he's
Zigbo looks
good.
good. I mean, it's not a
Yeah.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of running backs out there. That's kind of the point.
Yeah. Yep. he's gonna have to earn his keep special teams wise. And if Stooks pounds the table, then probably will still keep him, considering you're not paying Javonte Williams a lot and Melvin Gordon on a 1-year deal. This team's probably going to be pretty dependent and leaning into the run game, blah blah blah. But yeah, a couple definitely a fun and nerve wracking couple of days here. A player that was released that stuck out to me was OJ Howard, former first round pick of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Broncos could use a tight end. Big issue with OJ Howard is he suffered that Achilles injury a while ago, and it really looked like it zapped a lot of his ability, explosiveness. So big bummer for OJ Howard, former first round pick.
OJ Howard was what Kyle Pitts became. At the time, OJ Howard was the best receiving tight end, high school tight end I'd ever scouted.
Hmm.
And no matter where he's been, again, the coach killer phrase, no matter where he's been, Alabama, moving on to the pros, it's never quite clicked for him. But you see this guy who's 6'6", runs like a gazelle, huge wingspan, acrobatic catches, and then the production has just never been there. So it's, you kind of know what you're going to get at this point. This really great looking athlete, and something for one reason or another, it just hasn't worked for him the way it should. Because I did after 15 years, I did like an all decade and a half team or something. He may have been first 10 years, and literally he was the best receiving tight end I'd ever seen.
Yeah. He again, just doing a little perusing, seeing what the Bucs fans have to say, saying that Achilles injury was just a lot of promise before that, and then he suffered that, and it was zapped him. So Achilles injuries still happen, and they can really keep guys from progressing in their career and limit their athleticism, which is a bummer. But OJ Howard on the market, definitely Broncos probably looking at tight ends. They're looking at everything, but tight ends got to be one of the position. Luke Wright coming in saying, good morning, Nick and Scott. We are so close to football. There's college football this weekend. Go Ducks and go Broncos. Yeah, I am sorry to everybody in here because I know the Broncos, based on proximity, there's probably a lot of Nebraska fans in here, but nothing really warms my heart like seeing Nebraska blow a lead and lose a close game. I hate Nebraska so much. So go Hawks. And I guess, although I will say, Northwestern and Pat Fitzgerald, we've been where you are, Nebraska fans, because that program, 2-star athletes, I don't understand, man. Pat Fitzgerald's a hell of a coach.
Yeah, and just coming back to the OJ, Bama X says Alabama misused him while he was there. Yeah, but then he gets to the NFL and he's, a 500 yards guy at best, 5 touchdowns. That's pretty pedestrian.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I saw OJ Howard, I envisioned him to become what Kyle Pitts did become. So, and we're talking, Alabama misused him. Was he there 4 years? 3 at least. We're talking an 8-year career now, collegiate and pros, where it's always been something. There's always been something why he hasn't become that star that you'd think he could become with that natural ability that he has.
Hasn't clicked for him, but sometimes it'd be like that. He still might, if he's healthy, he might be an upgrade to the Broncos tight end room, but hard to say because, again, that Achilles injury being cut by Buffalo. I know Buffalo has Dawson Knox, who's been a pretty good player there, but kind of surprising. Mark Schrader coming in saying, good morning, Nick and Scott, exclamation point. Good morning to you, Mark. Thank you so much for the support coming in here. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate the kind comments on my Facebook with the reading your backpacking trip photos. Much appreciated. Gary Leeds Palmer also coming in with support. Thank you so much, GLP, saying, good morning, Nick and Scott. I'm excited to see our ones on the field. Go Broncos and let's ride. Yeah, the hand wringing and the posturing and what is it going to look like? Oh, we're getting beat up because it's not the ones. Oh, it'll be better when it's the ones. All the hypotheticals will be put to bed because real football is 13 days away for Broncos country coming up here to hang out with me in Seattle.
Yeah, and again, it is Seattle, which isn't one of the juggernauts. Any team's capable of beating any team, but you're not going against one of the teams that, one of the AFC North teams that are super tough in the trenches, where you have a chance to kind of break in a little bit. It's not necessary. It's you should win this game, but you shouldn't have to be at your best to win it. So we'll see. We're getting closer. Andrew Lampy coming in also. Have a great show. We'll watch later. Well, here's a shout out to you now, Andrew. Thanks for the stars, my friend. And leave a comment. And well, see, I only go through YouTube. Facebook makes it they're a pain with comments on after the fact. So if you come onto YouTube and leave a comment, I will check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Gatorade Gaming coming in here saying, "What's up, Broncos country? What's up, Nick and Scott? Let's ride." Not too much, just chilling, having fun. We also got Crimson Wolf coming in with the 4.99 super. I don't recognize the name Crimson Wolf. Maybe I should, but welcome in, Crimson Wolf. Saying, "Morning. Do you guys see the Broncos making roster additions at certain position groups during these roster cuts from other teams? Hopefully, the defensive line and the offensive line." I don't have much hope as far as the offensive line additions go because I don't see any tackles coming in that are probably the tackles that you're bringing in are the potential like Calvin Andersons of the world. You already have Calvin Anderson here who's been working in the scheme, the versatility, has the chemistry, the cohesion, camaraderie with the rest of the offensive line. So I don't see anything on the offensive line, especially with the bodies coming back. Still, you'll get Netani Moody back at some point. Tom Compton will probably start on PUP and come back after week 4, I believe, is when they can come back. Don't see him the offensive line. Defensive line, God, I hope so. I'd love to bring in another big body defensive lineman that can eat some space and make things easier for everybody else that can offer some versatility. But the position that sticks out to me is boundary cornerback. I think that's the spot where I would almost guarantee the Broncos are going to bring in another boundary cornerback. They released Bless Austin yesterday, and Michael Ojemudia is injured, going to start the season banged up with the dislocated elbow. And Damari Mathis has been up and down, probably not ready for full-time boundary corner snaps. You are one injury away from being hurting a lot at the cornerback position. I would be shocked if they didn't bring a boundary corner in.
Yeah, looking at the defensive line, I feel like the guys you're waiting for on the offensive line are the guys you're waiting for. Billy Turner, Tom Compton. But looking at the defensive line, there's 8 guys there right now. I think you can cut Jonathan Harris. I think he'll be part. There's you're down to 7. Matt Henningsen, you might hope that you can get onto the practice squad. I think the 3 starters are pretty safe. Draymond, DJ, and Deshaun Williams. That leaves McTelvin Ajim and Mike Purcell as possibilities. Is Mike Purcell safe on this team depending on who becomes available? Maybe. I think Wazarike is going to be safe, and then McTelvin Ajim is on the bubble based on flashing some decent pass rushing stuff, but being really poor in stopping the run. And at 6'3", 300 pounds, that's disappointing with the kind of athleticism he has. So we'll see who comes. They might make the 53, but that doesn't mean they make week 1. So
Yeah.
Yes, Crimson Wolf, I think they're going to be scouring the waiver wire very heavily for a 300-pound defensive lineman.
Yep. So defensive line, cornerback, tight end, maybe wide receiver, the back end wide receiver. I could see them bringing in some new blood there. Maybe somebody who one of the coaches has a relationship with, but we'll see. Those are the positions that stand out to me. I would love them to bring in another tackle, offensive tackle that is, but I just don't see somebody becoming available that it's going to be better than what you already have. And again, the chemistry, the scheme, all that's needed to run the outside zone, you're going to be starting from behind. So I don't know. In a perfect world, Tristan Wirfs becomes available, right? But it's not happening. Lance Johnson coming in saying, "Good morning, fellas. Good morning to you, Lance. Thanks for saying hello. Thanks for stopping by, too." Greg Smith, all the emojis. We're getting bigger. I love it. Good to see you, Greg. PJ Allen saying, "Peace, fellas. Peace to you." Dallas Kelly saying, "Let's ride Broncos country. So excited to be at the Seattle game." Hey, I'll be there, too. It's going to be so much fun. I hope so. I hope the Seattle crowd is not rude. I feel like a lot of people in Seattle that I come across are more of the techie types. A good bit, not the hardcore sports fans. I think maybe a lot of the Seattle Seahawks fans come from the surrounding areas. They're a little bit more gruff, chiseled, rather than the actual in Seattle folks. So we'll see. I've mostly been to away games, and I think the rudest crowd that I've been around were the Chiefs fans. Granted, that's more of a division rivalry kind of thing, so I get it. But we'll see how it plays out.
Hell, they're pricing out the fans. Sorry, they're pricing out the people with real passion.
Yeah.
As expensive as things get, they become everybody's an NFL fan, which helps, but you're ending up it's all corporate gifts and business expenses and trips coming in these days. I swear. Anyway, off of that one today.
I mean, only 8 games, right?
Mark Schrader coming in and says, "Do you see any real surprises today?" This is always a tough question, because if we could predict it, it wouldn't be a surprise. They were talking last night, to kind of paraphrase Zach and Chad, I said, I wouldn't be surprised if McTelvin Ajim was cut. Now, I wanted to ask if I was the third part of the panel, I'm saying, okay, do you think he will be? Because if the answer is no, then it's a surprise if he is. So if you think it's more than, if you're not surprised, I mean, I get that. I'm like, okay, I understand it, but you still don't anticipate it happening. But it could. To me, that would still be a bit of a surprise because he's got athleticism, he's got size. He was a high round draft pick. He's only in his third year. He's cheap, but you're running out of room. You're running out of spots out there. When I'm going through this list, and you're at 74 right now, I actually created a spreadsheet in case we wanted to go through this and we strike them out. And I've got across that position, I've got 3 at one end, 2 at nose guard, and 3 at the other end. That's 8.
Mm-hmm.
How many of those guys are you going to keep on a 3-4? Probably 6, maybe 7. Like I said, Jonathan Harris, I think he's pretty safe as a wave candidate. Telvin Ajim is right there on the bubble. After that, it would have to be a legitimate surprise, Mark. And again, thanks for the stars, big time stars coming in over on the other Facebook page, Mile High Huddle Podcast. On that page, it would have to be a surprise, and it's hard to predict surprise. Oh yeah, Dalton Reisner got cut. Well, yeah, that's a surprise. We're not thinking that that's going to happen. So what would be surprising? Melvin Gordon, that would be a surprise.
Yeah.
Mike Boone. Maybe. I wouldn't be completely surprised by that because he's paid higher than 25 other. He's super expensive for a third guy. But you've got money. If you get to a point where somebody becomes available and you need $15 million and you're sitting at 12 in order to get a Pro Bowl caliber right tackle, then you're starting to look to shave contracts right now. Right now, you're not in that situation.
No.
So, Or are you? Because Sam Martin's gone. Are you? Because if you're sitting, around $12 million right now in cap room, you were looking to save $1 million, $1.5 million off of Sam Martin. Well, I know where $2 million is right now.
Yeah, that makes guys like Mike Boone questionable. It makes guys like Mike Purcell questionable, just because not because those guys aren't good or valuable or whatever. It's just the money that you can get from moving on from them. Yep, it's the economics of it. A player that maybe if his contract made more sense to maybe move on from him, maybe you talk about somebody like Kareem Jackson. Considering his age, you have a couple young guys starting to emerge there, but Kareem Jackson,
that's my guy.
Yeah.
You don't cut my guy.
Okay. Oh, that's fair.
No. That's Nathaniel Hackett's words.
Oh, yes.
That's my guy.
Yeah. I'm just hypothetically it won't happen because the contract. It's
again. So I never really liked that question, Mark, because it's like, if I knew, it wouldn't be a surprise. If I knew, I'd tell you. If I had a real guess, watch out for this, I'd tell you, and therefore it's not a surprise.
Yeah.
So it would have to be a legit surprise, and you can't predict those.
Nope. No, you can't. So we got Benjamin Hayward coming in saying, good morning, guys. Good to see you. We got Bama X saying, good morning, Broncos country. Good to see you. EJ's, oops, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. Charlie Dominguez coming in with some stars over on Facebook saying this 2-week wait is brutal. Go Broncos. It has gotten tougher. That's for sure. It's going to be a whirlwind 48 hours. So that'll make it faster. The news will be coming fast and furious. Oh, we should get that guy. We should get that guy. Remember, for every edition, there's a cut. So-and-so became, OJ Howard became, okay, who do you want to cut? As Chase Wellner says, not that he's saying bring in OJ, but if you're interested in OJ, who's out?
Yeah.
Ojemudia. Yeah. I mean, Okowebanam, is he out? So it's zero sum at this point.
Yeah, and just looking over the salary cap, the players that can save the Broncos the most money if they move on from them, Mike Purcell can save them $3.5 million. Brandon McManus can save him $3 million. Dalton Reisner, $2.7 million, probably to keep him. Malik Reed, $2.4 million. Mike Boone, $1.25 million. And you also have somebody else stuck out to me. Eric Saubert, I think, can save you $1.1 million. So some of those things, they kind of start to add up. So we'll see how it plays out. I don't know how many surprises we'll actually see, though. It's not like this team is overly brimming with depth talent of notable names.
All right, how about this one? Greg Dulcich to begin the season on PUP.
Because he practiced some. There's got to. Is he eligible to come back if he begins on PUP?
He'd make the 53, and then you'd put him on PUP. and he'd be eligible to come back at week 5.
Yeah. Seems possible.
You got to think that's a possibility at this point,
Yeah.
right? When you're
Yeah.
working for roster spots and he hasn't done much of anything in the preseason and he's a rookie, that's a possibility in my mind.
Yeah, no doubt. That's a great call. I've already ruled him out for a lot of this season. Maybe he'll make a run in the playoffs at the end of the season, but missing that much time
already.
Yeah,
you called him a red shirt already, Nick.
Yeah, we'll see. Tight end's tough, man. There's just so much demanded for you mentally that I don't know. EJ coming in. Good morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. Good to see you. Diamond Rattler. Boom, let's ride. Michaela, read my mind. I can't stand Nebraska. See you for life. See you like the black and gold. Mine's a little more yellowy, but regardless. And if there's any Colorado fans out there looking to join a cheer for a team that's in a power conference, you can come over and I'll show you the way to Iowa going forward in the Big Ten. Good defense. It's a good time. Gary, we already had Gary Leeds Palmer. Gary, good to see you again. Benjamin Hayward also saying, what do you guys think about the linebackers position? I think they're going to be okay. They are a steady position. You have a lot of upside and excitement with Jonas Griffith, but Josie Jewell being a steady Eddie out there, getting guys in the right spot, making the plays that are in front of him, and not being out of position. There's a lot of value to the defense with that. I don't know if they're the backbone of the defense. I think more so the defensive line sets everything up. But as long as you are not porous and horrific at the linebacker position, you're going to be okay. And guys are not getting out of position. I'd rather have Josie Jewell with his size limitations and his overall long speed limitations than an athletic freak who has no idea what they're seeing, turning their hips the wrong way, biting on play action like a first-round pick Kenneth Murray over at the Chargers every time. Because if they're out of position, I don't give a hoot how athletic they are. You're going to hurt your defense. So I think the linebacking group is going to be okay. Not notable, but also not detrimental as long as they stay healthy.
They stay healthy, and as long as the guys in front of them are doing their jobs too. We like to talk about the linebackers didn't look good. They couldn't get off blocks. Well, part of the 3-4's job is to keep those linebackers clean so they can flow to the ball. It's like if my 3-4 defensive linemen aren't getting sacks and tackles for losses, that's gravy. I'm not looking at that to judge a 3-4 lineman. I am looking how well the linebackers play is a direct reflection on how well your front three are playing in a 3-4. So those guys have to be able to do their jobs better than what we've seen in the run game at times during the preseason. And again, we haven't seen the starting unit, not even just together really at all. Yeah. And then again, I feel better about the rotation with Uwazurike and Purnell coming in. Purcell. I've got it in by my head again. I've got him confused.
It's hard.
It's Mike Purnell and Purcell. Two guys coming in as a rotation, as a stopgap to come in and have your rotation feels much better than what we saw earlier. So I was very, very pleased with the Uwazurike. And if you've got 5 now that can play on the defensive line, it's not nearly as panicky as I was after that Jonathan Harris McTelvin Najim defensive tackle interior line debacle in game 2 of the preseason
and game 1. Let's be real. And game 1, they were not good against the Cowboys. The Cowboys running for like 6 yards a carry or some BS. So yeah, I'm more worried about the interior defensive line. So we got Jace coming in saying who's the 6th wide receiver, and then also Jeremy saying who's the 5th wide receiver. The safe guys are your top 4, obviously. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Montrell Washington. Those are the safe guys. After that, excellent question. I think Tyree Cleveland is going to make the team as a special teams ace. There's just too much chatter about that. The fact that he got injured, it would have been easy to waive him and bring in another body. They didn't. They held on to him. You're going to hold on to him and not have a roster spot this whole time to evaluate somebody or get somebody in there just to waive Tyree Cleveland now? I don't know. I don't think so. So I think Tyree Cleveland does make it as a special teams ace. I called him a core 4-way player, I think, also. So that one stands out. After that, Seth Williams, Kendall Hinton. Depends what you want. Do you want a little bit more of the smaller, more nuanced guy play inside outside, or are you looking for the X receiver that can do more like Seth Williams? I don't know. I
can't say I've seen a ton out of, a huge sample size out of either of them. Obviously, I'm biased towards Seth Williams. I've seen much more of him through his career, watching him more at Auburn. And I feel like I've liked more of what I've seen from him in this preseason. He seems to be much more productive. And again, my other bias is I like the bigger receivers. If you've already got a couple quick guys that you can drop in the slot, that, I like Seth Williams better than Kendall Hinton, but you could talk me out of that one. That's more of, I know Seth better than Kendall, but I haven't seen a lot of Kendall Hinton. Like, I haven't
No.
seen much from him to say, oh yeah, he needs a spot on this team.
Yeah.
Frankly, I think both of them, and maybe even Tyree, are in jeopardy depending on who becomes available over the next 24 hours. I wouldn't feel real safe if I was the fifth wide receiver on this team, Jeremy, period.
Yeah. Yep. You keep bringing it up, but you're right. Nathaniel Hackett saying Kendall Hinton and Seth Williams, they're both NFL receivers. They're not both Broncos receivers. So Broncos are definitely looking, they'll be definitely scouring the bottom end wide receiver market. I know a lot of people want them to trade for Jalen Reagor. The Broncos have 4 picks, guys. They're going to be looking for somebody who's waived, a Brandon Johnson in the world. They'll find somebody. I'm confident in that if they want to find somebody. We got Eclipse Stormborn. Happy Tuesday, Broncos country. Happy to have you in, Eclipse. Hope you're doing well. Nice Mile High Huddle merch there. Rocking it in the picture. Kayleon Green. Good to see you, Kayleon. Every time I see this picture, it looks like a cat that's like belly is exposed, but I know it's you smoking
And for me, it looks like
cigar.
One of those puffy white dogs that's facing to the left with its nose. The tip of the cigar looks like the nose with the tiny little mouth underneath it. Anyway, we're getting weird again.
Absolutely. We also got Bama X saying, when I went to Broncos versus Seattle, it was a terrible experience with the fans. I think they're going to be even a little bit more bitter, probably with the whole thing with Russell Wilson, but we'll see. Some people can be pretty rude, but you like to think they're the minority when stuff like that happens. We got Michael Ronquillo coming in saying
a ton of games. I've only had a couple problems, and every once in a while I think to myself, would I be out of jail by now if I chucked that sumbitch over the railing that pumped his fist in my face over and over and over again? I'm like, would it have been worth it? I think I might be out by now. So that was a bad one. That was University of Tennessee.
Yeah.
But otherwise, Tennessee fans have been great, and his wife was so embarrassed. Like, this is a grown man. Dude, what is the matter with you? 97, Peyton Manning.
Oh, man. Good times. Go Vols, right? Be fun. Football would be a little more fun if the Vols were better, I think. But we got Michael coming in saying Broncos released punter Sam Martin yesterday. That was probably the most notable news. The other ones we want to get into here, I just had it up. And, of course, I got ready. Oh, here we go. Blessin Austin also gone. Jeremiah Gemmel gone. Did they just sign Jeremiah Gemmel? For some reason, that name does not stand out at all to me.
Yeah, again, I recognize a couple of the names just because we do this every day, but there wasn't anybody that had etched in my brain as going to be part of this team. I didn't even try and commit them to long term.
Yep. And guys that we said, like, oh, who the Broncos going to be cut this time? Maybe this guy, maybe this guy. They are getting cut now. Sebastian Gutierrez, Jaquan Hardy, and Donnie Lewis, who was horrific in that week 1 game versus the Cowboys. So not really.
Hardy had a decent run at running back. Running backs are easy, man. They're easy.
Yeah.
As you like to say, there is a difference between an elite running back and a good running back, but you can get good running backs for nothing off the street, plug and play. They're not paid anything for a reason.
Speaking of running backs, also notable for Broncos country, Colts released Phillip Lindsay this morning. Guy never got a fair shot, says Jace FTW. Jace, I'm going to disagree with you on the fair shot. He's been on 4 teams now, and it's just he is too limited, in my opinion. There's a reason he's being cut. He's not a very good receiver, doesn't have very good hands, and also he gets steamrolled as a pass protector. So if Phillip Lindsay's in the game, guess what? It's probably a running play because you don't trust him enough to be a receiver or a pass protector out there. And showing your hand before the play starts is a massive disadvantage in today's NFL. I think I did I don't even know if I want to call it an analysis, but almost all the top running backs over the last 2-3 seasons, I think all of them but Dalvin Cook were over 210 pounds, 215 pounds. Most of these guys are big enough that they can bang if there's a free rusher. They can hold up in pass protection, and they can punish teams that they're playing too high light boxes. Not Phillip Lindsay. That's just not his game. He's too limited. Also came in after carrying the ball a bunch of times at Colorado. Older, I think he was a 24-year-old rookie, something like that. So that's Scott's been saying. It's the nature of the running back position. It's rough. Also, he doesn't provide much special teams value. So if you're a back end of the roster running back, what's happening? I mean, just you can't have it. So I appreciate Philip Lindsay a lot. Not to totally disparage him. He was a great running back for the Broncos when he was here, and he made those some rough seasons have much better storyline and some excitement and something to like the fans could be tuning in for, which was great during the dark years, I guess we'll call them there, that we had the very one short dark night, I guess, compared to some franchises. But yeah, Philip Lindsay back on the market. I don't know what's next for him, but I would not guess it's in Denver.
Yeah, and looking at he had production. He did this. BBY comes in. He has a few 1,000-yard seasons. Todd Gurley was out of the NFL 2 years after being an All-Pro back-to-back years at 27 years old. It's tough to, again, I won't, to not say he didn't get a fair shot. He had 4 extra shots. When you're released and signed, you get to kind of pick your team, who you want to go to, whatever you have available. It's like being an undrafted free agent instead of being drafted. He could pick amongst his offers if he had them, or sit and try and wait out for another one. I think he's had a fair shot, and he had more of a shot than most guys do in the NFL, and he made the most of it. Good for him. Congratulations. He was really good and got to live a dream that a lot of people never do. That doesn't mean you deserve, earn, or entitled to anything else.
Yep. Not fair. This is just how it is sometimes. Glenn Hare. Morning, fellas. Anxious to see what the final cuts look like today. Hoping Peyton works some magic with the waiver wire to fill out our roster. It'll be fun to see. And obviously, it happens every year. We see the 53-man roster and we're like, okay, we're set. We're good to go. And then, 1 week later or 2 weeks later, you have 3 or 4 of the guys on the back end moved and just some jostling there. There's always some movement on the back end of the roster. So the 53 will be set, but the 53 is not set quite yet. Jeremy Sean coming in saying Reed is trade bait. Yep, talking about the contracts here. Reed is definitely trade bait. I think Jonathan Cooper is also trade bait from what I've gathered. If the Broncos can get some value back on either of those guys, they might do it. And Cleo saying, why would you move on from McManus? I was just listing the players that you can get the most cash back if you moved on from. I don't think you're moving on from McManus. I was just looking at a list of guys. Russell Wilson, you can save $24 million if you move on from him. It's not happening. Chris Jenkins, morning family. Dawn of a new era is ahead of us. Go Broncos. And Mo Ron, guy we talked about a lot, Scott. Carson Strong's NFL career was short. We talked about him before the Senior Bowl, but then it got to the Senior Bowl, and I think you and I talked about it a lot. His knees, bad. That's what I was told. His knees are horrible.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I didn't see it at the Senior Bowl either. There were a couple guys there that I thought stood out as having the physical tools to do it. A couple of them got drafted that I didn't. He was a kid, Western Kentucky, Zappy. That's in
Bailey Zappy.
He's in New England now. I mean, when you throw for 6,500 yards, someone should give you a look as a coach or something. But I didn't think that he was able to, and I was not impressed with Carson Strong. He'll have a career in football for as long as he wants to. It just might not be as an NFL quarterback. Carly, did you mention Corliss Waitman from Michael Ranquillo?
No, I did not mention Waitman. I just talked about Sam Martin.
I'm not sure who that is.
That's the punter.
Who is it?
That's the Broncos' new punter. That's who won the punting job.
There you go. That's why I haven't put that one to memory yet either. Punter.
Yeah.
Left-footed. I saw him punt, just didn't remember his name. When I read it, I think Corliss Williamson, who's got one of the best nicknames ever. He was a 90s basketball monster at Arkansas, and his nickname was Big Nasty. So anyway, little throwback there. Congratulations to Corliss Waitman for winning the job for now. Again, don't get too comfortable out there, y'all.
Yeah. And it's not, I don't want to say it's too unfortunate for Sam Martin, but the Broncos approached him about taking a pay cut. He said no. They said goodbye. So the Broncos did want to keep Sam Martin first. I think that's an important detail, but not at the cost that he was at. And he rather test the market and get that guaranteed money that on the release. So as his right,
to his right and to their right.
Yep.
So absolutely get as much money in a signing bonus as you can. Otherwise, it's a series of 1-year club option deals.
Yep.
You don't. I've said it a zillion times. Do not pay any attention to the big number. 7 years, $70 million. Randy Gregory is a perfect example. It's a 2-year deal. It's a 2-year deal with a series of club options. As long as he is worth what they are paying him, they will extend another year or redo it. But basically, he's safe for 2 years unless something else happens. He's got a 2-year deal. That's it. So yes, it's within your right to say no, and it's within their right contractually to cut him. And Juan Espinoza comes in. He says, "Good morning. So when a player gets cut, does the money go back to the team for more cap space?" Most of the time, yes. As we were just saying, Juan, if I gave Juan Espinoza a 10-year contract for $100 million and I gave you $100 million signing bonus and didn't pay you anything else, you would count $10 million against my cap for the rest of the year. If I cut you, you would actually have a negative impact. And since I wasn't paying you any salary, I wouldn't get any money back. You'd actually have a negative. That's what dead cap is. So they prorate that signing bonus, and it all comes collapsing down to the year that you are cut. So that's why they have those extended years. So they'll listen, if I've got Randy Gregory, I don't mind eating $3 million of dead cap money, $4 million in dead cap money in year 4 and 5 and 6 if I need to.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to eat $25 million in dead cap money in year 2. That's why he's safe. So if your base salary is more than your dead cap number, then you get the difference. So, we can, if that makes sense. If I didn't give you a signing bonus and I brought you in on a $5 million contract with no signing bonus, as soon as I cut you, that $5 million goes back into the kitty. If I gave you a $1 million contract and a $5 million signing bonus, you get to keep that $5 million, and that counts on my cap. And I don't save anything.
Yeah. No, I good job, Scott. don't have anything else to add. So yeah, Juan, we can get into that more another time too, as the contract stuff is a little bit complicated, but definitely the Broncos are in a good position now with the ownership now that they can play little games with the cap if they need to. Big E coming in. Good morning, Nick and Scott. I guess it's my time out is up. Okay, I don't know why you were in timeout, Big E, but welcome in. Kellen Mond waved, says Jeremy Shawn from the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, I know he had issues with Mike Zimmer
Throwing the football. From high school to college to the NFL, he's one of those guys. It's like, would you just give me 1% and I'll save you millions of dollars?
Yeah,
he's not an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
Felipe Franks, not an NFL quarterback. I think they took him in the second round too, didn't they? I'm like maybe 5th or 6th as a backup guy. Who knows? But he has his issues were real simple: throwing the football. End of.
Yep. Benjamin Flores, howdy, gents. Howdy to you, Benjamin. Good to see you. We also got Chris H come in and ask this one a couple times. What do you guys think about the talk about trying to leave Russell in the pocket and protecting him as opposed to allowing him to scramble? He's going to scramble some. As he gets older, he's going to have to become more of a pocket quarterback, of course, because you lose a little bit of your juice and become more of a cerebral, pocket-bound quarterback, but he's still going to scramble some. Big thing with Russell Wilson this season that I'm looking for as far as the offensive line goes is, and they're obviously preaching it a lot, but if you have a quarterback who thrives on broken plays, that offensive line is going to need to be disciplined because it's really easy to get the ineligible man downfield. If you have a quarterback running around a little bit and then your offensive lineman gets, what is it? They're allowed 5 yards down the field, 2.5. I don't even remember the rule exactly, but you can have massive plays wiped because Lloyd Cushenberry was 1 yard farther than he was supposed to be. So you got to have some discipline and some wherewithal for that offensive line. It makes things easier because you have a little athleticism, but also makes things harder in a different way. It's just different.
Yeah, you're not going to change him either. He is who he is. So as he becomes more of a pocket guy, as he slows down, he'll naturally regress into being more of a pocket passer. But while he can still run, he's gonna. While he can extend plays, he's gonna. It's his nature. You're not going to change it. So you can call more plays to try and get the ball out quicker. But as far as the nature of the quarterback himself, that's he is who he is, and you don't want to change it. That's part of what has made him who he is. An 8 or 9-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So let's get into the topic matter. I didn't want to totally take over the Broncos waiving, releasing people, and been keeping an eye on Twitter to see if anything comes out here for the Broncos. I haven't seen anything yet, but Sam Ellinger making the Colts. Okay, cool. Good to see. But the main topic today from PFF listing the Broncos, the best team with a first-year head coach in the NFL. They predict the Broncos to win 10 games this year And they write that the Broncos won 7 games last season before replacing head coach Vic Fangio with Hackett and quarterbacks Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock with Russell Wilson. As I said, Gary Leeds Palmer, the dark years. But we'll see how the former transition goes. But Denver obviously experienced a significant upgrade with Wilson now at quarterback. Over the past 3 seasons, Wilson has averaged 3.17 PFF wins above replacement. WAR. I don't know much about the WAR for PFF, but regardless, I'll take it. And in 2021, Bridgewater netted 1.43 WAR, and Locke earned a 0.12 WAR. Not great. The Broncos did endure one of the most impactful injuries of the summer when they lost wide receiver Tim Patrick for the season with a torn ACL. They do still have Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, plus 2022 second-round pick KJ Hamler to make up for the loss of the starting wideout. On paper, the Broncos are very talented, but they're also playing in the most difficult division in football. After the Broncos, number 2 is the Minnesota Vikings, 3 the Miami Dolphins, 4 the Las Vegas Raiders, haha, eat it Raiders, 5 the New Orleans Saints, 6 the Giants, 7 the Jags, 8 the Bears, and 9 the Houston Texans. So Broncos number 1 here. I think that makes the most sense here. They're definitely the best team with a new head coach. Vikings being number 2 actually surprises me a little bit.
And it sounds like there's about only one of them with a chance of making the playoffs. Typically, if you're getting a new head coach, it's not a passing of the torch because Bill Belichick retired, and you've got the Saints might be the closest to that type of thing where Sean Payton stepped away. But typically, you're not in a situation where everything around you is good and the head coach is bad, and then you're able to just bring in a quarterback. I feel like this is a fairly unique situation for the Denver Broncos to step into a situation like this as a new coach. Typically, you're rebuilding at best, or you're coming off a few. You're happy because you got some young talent because you've had 3 high draft picks in a row. In this case, you feel good about the roster and you got a quarterback coming in. This should be a slam dunk. I still feel like the Dolphins are getting more respect than they should. They haven't necessarily earned it as much, but could we say the same thing about the Raiders? The Raiders were a playoff team last year, right? And they've made some decent additions. They, to me, seem like the most likely candidate with the Broncos to be 1 or 2 on a list like this.
Yeah. I'm not buying the Raiders either. Horrible offensive line. Don't think their defense is very good. They have great edge rushers. And that can cover up a lot of things with the defense. But I think some of it also, they mentioned the Broncos thing, even though despite number 1, they talked about the division. Raiders seem to be pretty obviously last in the division pecking order. And I think that the NFC, especially the wild card spots, are more up for grabs. So the Vikings number 2, I think they had them at 9.5 wins, which is shocking. I might smash the under for the Vikings if the Vegas has them at 9.5. But the Lions, still probably a year or 2 away. The Chicago Bears are an absolute mess. And the Packers have maybe the best defense in football. I think that we're not talking enough about how great that Packers defense is. But regardless, a lot of questions on offense. They still have the MVP, but around him, the offensive line's getting older. Weapons are a huge question mark. So we'll see. And also just can we just call it a circus surrounding Aaron Rodgers at this point? So maybe there is a little bit of meat on the bone there for the Minnesota Vikings.
Circus, I think he can handle it. Hell, I think he thrives on it at this point. He what he likes to do. I mean, he seems like the kind of guy that'll just throw out some bait and then turn everything off and then just disappear from it. People got on him about how things were handled with his will he or won't he, but he didn't. That was all from us. That was all from the media. I mean, what was his big announcement? He didn't do a LeBron James, I'm keeping my talents in Green Bay. He called his friend and said, yeah, I'm staying. That was it. That was it. He had a big decision to make. He's a starting quarterback in the NFL is one of the most high profile positions in sports. So anyway, vote for Angelo comes in. Angelio comes in. Says, good morning. Finally caught you live. Well, welcome. Virgil or Williams? I'm going Williams. Seth Williams over Virgil for me. Nick, what do you think?
I think that's right. I think they would love to keep Virgil on the practice squad. Virgil has some value as special teams, but I don't think he's as highly thought of in the special teams realm as Tyree Cleveland. And also just pay attention to when guys are playing. If Virgil was vying for making the roster, would he not come in until the third quarter of the final preseason game? That doesn't add up to me based on how we've seen other preseasons play out. Now, I know that the 3-game preseason is kind of changed things a bit, shifted things a bit. So it's not exactly the final preseason game. If you don't play until the third quarter, you're toast, like it used to be when there was 4. But definitely seems like Seth Williams is much higher on the pecking order. I would expect Virgil to be practice squad bound.
Another question coming in here. And what's kind of fun is Biggie is having voice to text problems. Biggie, we love you. We get it.
Mm-hmm.
I have just text problems, period. I don't know where my thumbs are, but they're certainly not where the phone thinks they are. The Broncos, I see where Juwan James got another $1 million from the Broncos. Yes, they settled yesterday, so they did get $1 million. And then surprise cuts coming in. Let me see. Someone just asked that was new. It was John Sandoval coming in. Good morning, everyone. Any surprise cuts for the Broncos? With Sam Martin, a surprise cut. It registers a little bit on that radar. He's got a dead cap hit now of 483. So going back to the question of, do you get that money back? He had about probably a 2.5. So what did you get? About $2 million. He had $500,000 in prorated signing bonus that you have to eat. So you get about 1.5 back for your salary cap. You have to eat 483,000, which in the NFL isn't much. You don't like to have any, but when you consider a team like the Atlanta Falcons have right now about $65 million in dead cap money and could move that number up closer to 80, depending on what they do with Deion Jones, 485, you're willing to eat that. So not that big of a deal.
Yeah, no, not that big of a deal at all. We'll see how it plays. I mean, again, they approached him to take a cut, and he said, no, thank you. And that's the business. That's the agreement. Mm-hmm. It's a contract. And Sam Martin will land on his feet. No doubt about that. He's going to be picked up by somebody else. And Carlos Waitman. So I guess to talk a little bit of Carlos Waitman. Broncos, I think, picked him up almost immediately at the end of the season after the Giants waived him, I want to say. Maybe it was the Packers. But he is a left-footed kicker as well. So interesting as well. Different spin on the football, different trajectory, just comes off the foot differently. Maybe I think he's got better. Hey, what was that?
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Steelers. You are correct. It is the Steelers. Mm-hmm. Yep. So
it's a strange accent in Pittsburgh. It's not quite Midwest, and it's definitely not East. People from Pittsburgh, they call them the Stillers.
Stillers. All I know is that I found out the other day. I have a friend who's was in the Pennsylvania area for a bit, and he says they call them Yinzers. Those people around there. I don't know if that's a bad word, but now as soon as I said it, I'm like,
we just got flagged. I don't know.
That's like a local Pittsburgh, West Pennsylvania person. I don't know.
Yeah, probably not. It's probably not. You're probably allowed to do that based on the demographics around there. So,
okay.
But he was with the Steelers last year.
Yep.
I love ex-Steelers. I'm telling you, again, there's no such thing as non-biased. I am extremely biased towards Mike Tomlin. You played with Mike Tomlin and you succeeded under Mike Tomlin. I'm a fan because I'm a huge fan of the way he does things and the toughness of his football teams and players that come out of there. So you get some. That's a pretty good thing to have on your resume. As I played for Mike Tomlin. Okay, that's a bonus for me.
You're in. Yeah, no, for sure. You have to be an adult to play for Mike Tomlin. That's for sure. Doesn't suffer many fools. And Chris Jenkins coming in saying, "Can I get a fraction of that Falcons dead cap money to lose?" Sorry, Scott. You're taking
blown $100 million like that Thomas Dimitroff did, just flushing Arthur Blank's money down the drain. You'd think I'd be in jail if you got a fraction of that, Chris. They'd be coming after you with the law. It's criminal.
Yeah.
How that has been handled. Literally, it should be criminal. I would be if I'm Arthur Blank, I'd be hiring private investigators to look into that person's bank account, see what kind of kickbacks they were getting on some of those deals.
Yeah, it's that's the NFL sometimes, though.
Yeah, most as he's biased towards Urban Meyer. Anybody that's got Urban Meyer on their resume, he takes that into account too.
Yeah, not Urban Meyer, man. What a guy. Did you ever see the interview of him where he was, I think it was in between his college and NFL days. I think it was when the pandemic was kind of starting, and he was on a boat doing an interview at the NFL Network. Mm-mm. And he's like doing it on a computer, and then there's a mirror behind him, and there's a heftier dude, and he pulls out a bong and starts smoking it while in the mirror, and Urban's like in the interview, like
I like him for that. No,
it was hilarious.
You've heard me say a zillion times, I don't mind an a-hole. I can't stand a hypocrite.
Yeah.
and Urban Meyer was the worst of the worst when it came to hypocrisy. I went down there when he first started at Florida. I'm covering his camp, and he's like, we're better than this, and we're cleaner than this, and we do everything the right way. I'm like, you are a two-faced lion SOB.
Slimy.
I love Nick Saban. Nick Saban, I don't want to be your friend. I'm not your friend. I'm not here to coach and win football games. We don't have to be friends. Love it. Great. That's the guy I want coaching my football team. We don't have to go play golf together or go, have coffee in the morning, but I damn sure want you coaching my team.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, man, I cannot wait for college football this weekend. I love college football so much. Speaking about football, vote for Angela coming in also saying, are you guys going to Denver week 3? I'll be flying out. Can't wait. I will not be. I have family coming out to Seattle, allegedly. We'll see if that plays out. But Scott will be there. Definitely you can meet Scott and a lot of the MHH crew that's going to be there.
I'm not any better looking in person, Angelio. I apologize.
Scott, you look great for 92.
I know for 92 years old, I do look good for my age. I'm a spry 70.
Yeah, I look better now than I did probably 6 years ago. I played a lot of video games and drank a lot of beer. Now I do a lot of hiking and eat a lot healthier. So lost a lot of weight, which is great. And Curtis coming in saying, I'm not excited about our inside linebackers. Should have signed Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner got a massive contract from the Rams. And he looked like he was downgrading last season. That's once those players, I mean, we saw it with Joe Schobert, former second highest paid free agent that year, just 2 years ago. And now he's back to being a street free agent. Like, your sun sets quickly in the NFL when it's your time to go. I'm not saying Bobby Wagner's done, but I feel like the Rams are paying as much for the name on the back of the jersey and what he's done versus where he's going.
He's got, again, listed a 5-year, $50 million contract. And if I check the dead cap money, it really is basically a 2-year, $20 million. He's got a cap hit this year of just 2.5, a cap hit of 12 versus a dead cap of 7.5 next year, and then a cap hit of 12 with a dead cap of 3. So unless he's playing at a very high level, he's not going to see that the third year of that contract, and they'll be happy to eat the last $6 million or the $3 million in dead cap. So he's got a 2-year deal. You want him taken up? You've got about that much left in space right now. Would you bring in Bobby Wagner knowing you couldn't make any other moves?
No.
Is he worth the $10 million of your remaining cap space? Are you going to get $10 million worth of value out of an inside linebacker in this scheme? That becomes the big question.
Yeah, no, and thank you very much for your comment, Curtis Rouse Sr. We appreciate you. Definitely linebacker is a question mark for this team, but I have more questions I'm more concerned, not more questions, but bigger questions at almost every single position on the defense besides safety. Cornerback depth, extremely concerning. Ojemudia hasn't played well. Mathis, I don't think, is ready for the boundary. And you moved on from Bless and Austin. Darby has an injury history. Yeah, that scares the heck out of me. Interior defensive line, I've said it 100 times on here. I like Deshaun Williams a lot. I like him as your first guy off the bench with some rotational ability. I wish there was one more inside-outside kind of edge or 5 technique, 4-eye, whatever, if you want to be specific, that can play there. The starters for your edge rushing spot, I like the depth. Baron Browning has been awesome. Nick Benito has a really amazing bend and first step. Malik Reed has been productive, but your starters, who you are depending on heavily this season, have massive question marks. So linebackers have a lot of questions. They're just lowercase questions for me compared to other areas of the defense.
And to be fair, what Curtis says, I agree with the first part of this. I'm not too excited about our inside linebackers. Yet no one is. But that's okay. These are lunch pail guys. Blue collar guys that you want in to come in and do a job and save some money so you can spend it on flashier players where you are scheming your defense and your offense for more big plays, and you just want your inside linebackers to do a job. Can they do their job? And you don't want that to be overly expensive. You want them to be capable. So no, they're not exciting. But the big question is this scheme ever going to be a place where you want to drop an 8-figure player in the middle of your defense? I don't think so. I don't think it's ever going to be like that here with, under Evero. Or how often is it going to be like that in the NFL anymore, honestly?
I mean, if you have a phenomenal linebacker, there's still value if you have a difference maker. Yeah. Like if you have he changed his name. Leonard with
Shaq
the Colts.
Leonard.
Shaquille Leonard. If you have a Fred Warner for the 49ers, I wouldn't put Devin White up there right now because I think, he's a point and shoot guy right now, and I think Levante David's maybe pulling a little bit of the strings to get him in the right spot. If you have a Micah Parsons, who, again, it's a little different with Micah Parsons because most of his value is actually coming from the pass rush department rather than playing at the second level and playing coverage. Like, I remember Broncos fans last year, draft Micah Parsons. We need somebody to stop Travis Kelce. You don't play Micah Parsons in coverage against Travis Kelce. That's not who he is. But I digress. Linebacker is definitely a position that the Broncos are not a high ceiling, but as long as Josie Jewell stays healthy, you got a very high floor. So, Scott, go ahead.
Oh, and Jonas Griffith.
Yeah.
As Jonas Griffith stays healthy too, because you really only need one of them.
Yep.
But again, I want Josie Jewell out there for the cerebral parts of the game. Like I've said, maybe you don't get gashed up the middle when he's up there moving guys around on the line based on recognition of plays and saying, you see all the time the inside linebacker runs up and smacks a nose guard or a defensive tackle on the rump, like, hey, move over this way, move over that way to fill this gap. We're going to see more of that, and that it's like, okay, you've got this covered. Now I've got this covered. Now they're not going to get 9 yards of carry that we saw in the preseason. So again, we talked a lot about quarterbacks last year, and it's a similar type of mindset on the defense, quarterback of the defense. A lot of what is good, you don't see it's done before the snap. So again, going back to Curtis, didn't mean to put that down. That wasn't my intention when we talked about that at all. I'm not too excited about the linebackers either. It's not an exciting position in this defense. So I get it for sure.
Yeah. It's definitely, if there's any position on the defense where you just want to be okay, it's the linebacker spot. And Chris Jenkins coming in. Sorry about my Nebraska slander earlier, Chris, but no, I'm not. No, it's all friendly. It's Midwest teasing going on there. But would you bring back Alexander Johnson back for depth? Scott, I got to say, we talked about this a little bit earlier, and I had a conversation with somebody more connected to the Broncos organization than myself. And what I said previously came up again without me prompting it. The Broncos front office now is they have multiple females in the front office positions, and they have a much tougher, stauncher stance on sexual assault allegations even. So Alexander Johnson missed a lot of time at Tennessee because of that. He was found not guilty in the end, but I think the Broncos are still trying to steer clear of that. Fair or not, it just sounds like that's a decision that the front office is making there. He's not going to jail, but it's just they're not looking to bring in somebody with that.
Yeah, he doesn't have a right to a job either. I mean, that's I don't have to hire you. I'm not, it's kind of like the free speech thing. It's like, well, what happened to free speech? So the freedom of speech does not mean freedom of consequences. It just means you're not supposed to go to prison for what you say. So I get it. We mentioned before, I speculated that him being a known commodity in that locker room could actually work against him. And what he's looking for. And Benjamin Flores says, unless you're Peyton Manning, and there is always in all walks of life, a talent versus how much crap I'm willing to put up with scale. And if you're up here and they're proportional, the better the player, the more you're willing to overlook, right, Deshaun?
Yeah, that's true as well. And unfortunately, linebackers are the running backs of defense. They're more valuable than running backs, more like the tight ends of defense. And Alexander Johnson's 30 years old, limited in coverage. I mean, it is what it is. They'll bring in somebody else before they bring in Alexander Johnson, is what I gathered. So anyway, we're at 1 hour. We're supposed to go, Chad, I'm sorry, go 45 minutes. No, Chad, we're having too much fun. But we appreciate everyone coming in today.
For freaking August. This is the time.
I know this is the time. We appreciate everyone joining us today. Make sure you're following Scott and I on Twitter. Scott is at Scout Kennedy. I am at Nick Kendell MHH. Also, make sure you're following us at BFB_pod. Of course, that's our show Twitter account, and at Mile High Huddle, which is the flagship Twitter account. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you're following us at Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod. And as the ticker says underneath, please subscribe, like, and share over on YouTube. Click the bell notification or the bell icon. So that way you get a notification when we go live, and you can come join us, which is really a big part of the live shows, because Scott and I, we're just two dudes chatting. It's really the chat that is driving the show, and your guys' communication, input. I mean, it's your show. We're just kind of we're the dancing monkeys up here. So
we're the hosts.
Yeah.
We're the hosts of your show.
Yeah. Exactly. So appreciate you guys so much. Scott, what's the rest of your day looking like?
Uh, midday match week, so I'll be checking the. I'll be while I am watching the cuts and doing all of those things that we do on a daily basis. Chelsea is playing a match day at 2:45 Eastern on Peacock. If you happen to have Peacock, so if you got nothing else to do, put that on in the background. It's a quick hour and a half, that's for sure.
Yeah, quick hour and a half. And we'll be back again tonight for the, gosh, what is it? Building the Broncos, Tuesday
Building the
night.
Broncos.
So, man, a lot of fun. We'll have a lot to talk about. The final 53. And John Dieter
Mhm.
saying, "Don't tell me how to live my life." Somebody's going to, John. Are you married? Somebody's going to, no doubt. But appreciate the heck out of you guys. We'll see you again tonight. Everyone have a great rest of your Tuesday. Choose kindness and choose compassion. And as always, go Broncos.